It's time for the Sports Blitz, the only live-streamed local sports show in Arkansas, with all the latest on the sports stories that matter to you.
It is a busy Wednesday on the Sports Blitz. Got a whole lot to talk about today. Adam Silver laid the smacketh down, Weldon, on Donald Sterling. Yeah, he just absolutely dropped a hammer on Donald Sterling, stripped him of every single thing he has, even things that he owns. And we will talk a lot today about the swift and just punishment, all the periphery around the NBA, also all the discussions about who may soon own the Los Angeles Clippers. If you're not familiar with what's going on, we'll break down what Donald Sterling said, and what Adam Silver, man, those two S's,
I know.
what he did in response, and what the league has said, and how the league has reacted. Just a whole lot of stuff to get to on the Sports Blitz today. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday. Mark Freeman, Weldon, Braxton, Maddie Lassiter, and we're joined by Plumerville Super Speedway representative Charlie Bowden, who's going to visit with us for just a little bit about what's going on over there in Plumerville. We always like to support local businesses and support local places that are trying to promote events and fun stuff for folks to get involved in, because when we growing up in this area, we know that there are a lot of times we'll say, ain't nothing to do, and here comes the weekend and there's something to do. So
you're absolutely right. We're glad to have Charlie in. We're going to ask him some questions and let him go a little bit about the Super Speedway, because a lot of people don't know about it. We were talking about this before the show. It's an avenue, Mark, as you said. You were sitting down thinking, well, what is there to do? Is there anything going on? And we're about to find out about something, another option that you may have if you got something that you want to do on a weekend or on an evening. So looking forward to talking to you, Charlie.
All right. Good morning, Weldon. Good morning, Mark. Thanks for having us on the Sports Blitz. We appreciate the opportunity to come on here and talk about the Plumerville Super Speedway and all the things we have going on. We also appreciate the leader for handling our results every week, giving us a ear on the public. This Saturday night, along with our regular racing, we got bike races for the kids. We're pretty excited about that. Once a month, we try to have something for the kids. There'll be trophies, possibly cash prizes, all sorts of little prizes just for the kids participating. So come on out, see some racing. Bring the kids' bikes, let them have some fun too. We do this every Saturday night at 7:30 at exit 112 off of Interstate 40, just east of Plumerville. Get off the interstate, get on 64, go 1.4 miles. Track is right on the left. You cannot miss it.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned a little bit before the show about how people just have lived in this area their whole life and they've never known that the Speedway was there. Give us a little background. You said this is a little different weekend than what you're used to. Give us a little background on what you do on a weekly basis and kind of the variety of things that you offer.
Okay, it is true. People, I think because only locals drive that stretch of highway, a lot of people don't know this Speedway's there. It was built in 1991. It's a quarter-mile dirt and clay track. And every Saturday night, our regular races, I say regular, we've been having specials here lately. Different cars come in from outside of our regular Saturday night program, put on special races. This week is just our regular show with the bike races. We run factory stocks, which are pretty much like the name says. You take your regular car, you do a little bit of work on the motor, put headers on it. It's still got the same suspension it had driving down the highway. We have two modified classes, and those are just what they imply, modified. They're about a half of a car frame. Other than that, it's performance suspension, performance motors, and, good show for the family. We feel like you can come out and see cars that look somewhat like the car you got sitting out back. You can relate to that. Good atmosphere for the family, and if you get interested, $2,000 or $3,000, you can have one of these race cars too on the basic level.
Well, Charlie, I think when people think about racing, those who are unfamiliar with the local dirt track scene, they obviously want to start thinking about NASCAR. That's where people's brain goes.
Right, that's where it all started.
That's where it all starts, bootlegging, and that's how it got going. But
exactly, the moonshine runners.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's become one of the more popular sports we have, especially financially. Do you guys have, of course, NASCAR, they have a point standings, and they have a weekly or sort of a set of drivers, and they compete, and they travel around the different tracks. Do you guys have anything like that, or is there a point system or circuit that you guys do?
Yes, we do. At our track, we have a point system. We offer, we award year-end championships, and there's points races in each class. And right now, the points race in the factory stock division between Hunter Page out of Little Rock and local boy Dustin Bell. He's born here in Russellville, lives at Pottsville. They got quite a points race going on. Hunter had been leading, then Dustin went ahead, and then I think last week Hunter won first, so he went back ahead for the points race. And at the end of the year, we give trophies, and, you get bragging rights. Now, you mentioned other speedways. We have what I term visiting drivers who don't drive at the same speedway every week. Most speedways, let's say 50% of the drivers are going to be there every Saturday night because they're chasing that championship. Whereas other drivers just like to go around and drive at different speedways, and I'm always tickled when those guys show up because you get to see different cars and different competitors, and to me, that's always exciting.
Well, I wondered, you mentioned a couple of the locals in our area, obviously, Pope Johnson, Yell County areas. Any folks that people might recognize?
I think right off the top of my head, Clayton Pruitt from up here at Hector. Clayton's not that old. He's not even 30 yet, I don't think, but he's been driving for years. And Clayton came last weekend. He was there 3 weeks ago and won first. Again, in the factory stock division. Factory stocks are really prolific. There's usually more of them than anything else, so I talk a lot about them. And Clayton won first 3 weeks ago, but last weekend he was running second to Hunter Page and for the whole race. And he told me later, he said, I didn't have anything for Hunter. It was all the Hunter Page show last week. But running second in the last couple of laps, Clayton started to have a car trouble, so he actually wound up coming in fourth. But Clayton, a lot of people around here know him. Like I said, he's from Hector. Well, actually lives at Scottsville. And, he's a really good guy, good family man. We love to have him come into the Speedway. And he's a name I think a lot of people around here recognize if they have followed motorsports.
That's cool. Can you tell us a little bit about the fan experience? If you go to the Speedway, what are you going to expect as far as concessions, seating, admission costs, all that stuff for the fans?
All right. Well, it's a really good experience, I believe. I think we have the best show out there. For adults, it's $12. Kids 6 to 12, $5. Kids 5 and under, free. And you come in there, man, we are really tickled about this. We have a slushy machine now. And you can get just all kinds of flavors of slushies. Last week, I believe we had peaches and cream and margarita flavor and blue strawberry, some kind of hybrid like that. Some of the flavors change from week to week. And, we got some good food. Remember, we got Polish sausages. We got fried bologna sandwiches. You want them? And, of course, hot dogs, hamburgers. We have chicken baskets. We have fried cheese. And, as you can tell, our food's pretty good. I like to eat, man.
So you mentioned fried bologna sandwiches. My wife's going to be out there.
Baby.
My wife's going to be out there in the next couple of hours. Just
you
to
bet.
check
And
it
corn
out.
dogs, fried bologna sandwiches.
Corn
now, we will
dogs.
fix you up. Of course, all kinds of sodas. We have sports drinks and stuff like that. You can sit back, watch you some good racing, and fill your belly. I'm just going to get right down on the level and talk about let's fill our bellies well that I like to eat, baby.
Yeah, you're telling the truth. I want to ask you this one thing about, you talked about the drivers and you mentioned some names. Mm-hmm. Are there any good rivalries? You can be honest. There's any heated rivalries? Any two drivers you may say, that's kind of edgy when they start racing side by side? We got to watch those two.
Not at this time of the year now as it goes, but now this the two I mentioned earlier, Hunter Page and Dustin Bell, like I said, it's obvious they're going to seesaw back and forth between the first and second place all year. But at this time, it's a good-natured rivalry. I know Dustin is always complimenting Hunter, and Hunter's a young man. I don't even know if he's 18. Last year, he couldn't even drive that car across the infield. This year, I don't know what happened over the winter. He got it figured out. But Clayton Pruitt, I know when Hunter won the other day, Dustin was the first. I'll get my words right. Clayton was the first one to swing around, and thumbs up and give him congratulations. And I love to see sportsmanship. We do have some rivalries that will probably heat up later in the year, but right now we're only about 6 weeks in, so everybody's still pretty cool.
Well, I got two other questions then for you. I want to get to events that are coming up in the near future, aside from just this one. But for those who want to get involved, you mentioned just a little bit earlier, not just fans, but people who want to drive. What's the easiest way for them to get a hold of you guys and to get involved?
PlummervilleSuperspeedway.com is our website. Our promoter is Kenny Morden. He's the guy that actually puts up the money and runs the track. His phone number's on there. I don't have it with me. Also, we have a Facebook page, Plummerville Super Speedway. And if you get in touch with us, you can read, or get on our website, you can read the rules of what it takes to build one of these cars. And Just for Play Speed and Fabrication Shop right there at Plummerville, they sell all kinds of parts and fuel, and they will build you a race car if you want one. Them guys will build you one, or if you can read our rules, figure out how to build your own. We have a class that we're trying to get started called Bone Stock, and it is basic. I mean, knock the windows out of it, put in the roll cage, and go racing. And we designed it that way so people can get in the sport really cheap. Of course, they still have to buy fire suit and gloves. We're all about safety. You can't race at the Plummerville Super Speedway without obviously a helmet, but you also have to have the full fire suit, fire-resistant shoes, and gloves.
Cool. All right. Then finally, before we get you out of here, what do you have going on? You said you had bike races for the kids this weekend. What do you have going on the next month or so?
All right. On May the 10th, we have our first annual factory stock shootout. This will be about a 25-lap race. It's a little longer than normal. We'll pay them about twice what it usually pays to win. I don't have the sponsors with me right now, but it's a good chance for the factory stock class to get in there, and and that's usually draws anywhere from 30 to 35 different cars from around the state. On May the 17th for the ladies, we do this just like the bike races. Once a month, we have what's called Powder Puff. The ladies get in the car and race for trophies. And one of the best races I ever saw was a Powder Puff race at the Speedway about 3 years ago.
They don't know how to use their brakes, do they?
Well, I'm glad you said that, bud.
I got a wife. I'm not crazy.
Yeah, you're not scared to go home, are you? Actually, they drive pretty conservative times, but yeah, I did see one run over the other. I mean, run plumb over the top, up over the top of another car last year.
Yeah.
So that was it thrilled the crowd. On May the 31st, we have the return of the Southern Outlaw Late Model Series. These are semi-professional cars that these particular guys don't race for a living, but the cars are some of the ones you see the people who do, racing is their only job. Late models, they're a different kind of car. They're really exciting. They're fast. They're loud. They're big, and they hook it around that speedway now.
Awesome. All right, well, we got to hit a break, Maddie. We've got to get out of here. We got plenty of stuff to hit today. We appreciate Charlie Bowden being here from the Plummerville Super Speedway. He said you can check him out on Facebook. Go search for Plummerville Super Speedway. Visit their website and get out there to Plummerville and watch some racing. We're going to cut out this little portion. You can find this this replay of today's show, and you can share it on your Facebook page for anybody who wants to if you missed part of this interview, if you want to check it out once more, and we'll share this again later on today on our Facebook page. We appreciate Charlie being here with us. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, Donald Sterling.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
I mentioned early on in the show, and we appreciate Charlie showing up today and giving us a little information on the Plumerville Super Speedway, but I mentioned before about Adam Silver and Donald Sterling. If you didn't get to hear our opinion and us talking with Nick Mason on Monday about what Donald Sterling did, and if you've not heard now, we're not going to go back through all of it, but some racist statements that were leaked to the media, and now Donald Sterling has to pay the piper. That piper is Adam Silver, and yesterday, Weldon, he laid the hammer down.
Yes. You want to go through the penalties? Or you want?
Well, I will, I guess. And
go
then
ahead.
We'll discuss it. Adam Silver came to the podium yesterday. A little backstory to this. You have to understand that he has the weight of the NBA on his shoulders. He's the commissioner for 3 months. He's got all the players and association folks mad at Donald Sterling. He's got all the owners embarrassed at Donald Sterling. He's got advertisers pulling out from the Clippers and universities saying we don't want to take this guy's donations anymore. That you've got, just a bevy of huge, bad pub for the NBA. And he comes to the podium and he says, I am banning Donald Sterling, who is the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, for life from all Clippers events, all NBA events, all owners meetings, all NBA government meetings, all practice facilities, anything that has to do with the NBA for life. I am banning Donald Sterling. Let's hear real quickly. Maddie's got some audio from Silver.
Accordingly, effective immediately, I am banning Mr. Sterling for life from any association with the Clippers organization or the NBA. Mr. Sterling may not attend any NBA games or practices. He may not be present at any Clippers facility, and he may not participate in any business or player personnel decisions involving the team. He will also be barred from attending NBA Board of Governors meetings or participating in any other league activity. I am also fining Mr. Sterling $2.5 million, the maximum amount allowed under the NBA Constitution. These funds will be donated to organizations dedicated to anti-discrimination and tolerance efforts that will be jointly selected by the NBA.
$2.5 million fine, lifetime ban. Just absolutely the absolute maximum that he could have done.
Yeah.
And he goes on to say that he's going to go to the owners and he's going to petition them to vote. And if 75% of the owners agree that he doesn't need to own this franchise anymore, the NBA will buy that franchise. He will no longer have the option of even owning the franchise. As of right now, he's owning it, but he can't go anywhere near it. So it's his in name. But when the vote happens, and I have to believe, and Weldon, I think you agree, that if Adam Silver goes to the podium and he says that he's going to go to the owners, he's already gone to the owners.
Yeah, he ain't
and
stupid.
He's got a vote. I believe it's going to be unanimous 29-0, and because I don't think that there's anybody crazy enough to stand up and say, nope, I'm not going to vote against Donald Sterling, the racist, because if it comes out you're the guy who voted against it, you're probably going to be blacklisted as well. Just huge news.
Yeah. The commissioner, he's no dummy. You don't come out there and put yourself out there the way he did and not consult with the variety of owners first, because he knows if he can't get the support he needs from them, the strong fist he showed yesterday means nothing. So it makes you feel good about when the owners' vote does happen, that the necessary vote will take place. And you mentioned the league buying the team. I think that's important because I've heard it suggested, well, they make Sterling sell. What if he sells to somebody that he likes, or somebody in his posse, or somebody that kind of keeps him connected, even though he's officially banned? But obviously, if the league takes over, then that's out of his hands. I looked at this, and we're going to get into the varying opinions, a lot of personalities on TV going at it different ways, a lot of which I think we agree with. Some of them we don't necessarily agree with the positions taken by some people on television. But the fine, I'm not so sure about the fine. I think it sounded good, but I'm thinking how is the fine and the ban going to play together? I guess that's what I'm kind of wondering about. Again, it doesn't matter to him. But Darren Ravel calculated it out. When you look at his net worth, it's $54 to the average American. But I thought that was more of a show of a strong fist rather than something that's going to really hurt Sterling, because
that's exactly what it is.
He may not even pay it. I mean, if you're kicking him out, then he might not even pay why would I pay this $2.5 million fine?
Well, to me, it kind of seems like I'm sure he signed some stuff that said you agree to abide by these rules, and if you don't, these are the penalties. Brad Caldwell asked the same question yesterday, and I said, I can understand where people would say, why would you pay it? Because you're banned and you're not able to have any say in the franchise anymore, and you're going to take my team from me. Why would I give you money? But at the same time, if you get arrested and you get a fine, you got arrested, you may have paid you done your time or whatever, and you may say, well, that's like me being fined. It's just like Sterling being able to say, well, you've taken my team from me, why would I also give you money? Well, you may have to. You may have no choice. In order to be clear of it all, they may just take it from him.
Well, see, that's the thing too. Like, I look at it more in terms of, well, okay, you may arrest me, but you're offering to send me to the chair, or you're offering to kill me. You're offering to I feel like it's one of those things where there is no life. His NBA life is over, I guess is what I'm looking at. If this ban is in place, I feel like his NBA life is over. So what does he have to lose? Like, you're trying to get back in the good graces of society if you're kind of being arrested for a penalty, But I feel like if it's irrelevant either way, though. I think we're on the same page in terms of it needed to come down. And,
go ahead.
Well,
Sorry.
I just, some of the opinions, if you really want to know what's really getting on my nerves, it's really been some of the reaction. That's really, Mark, where I want to get to. I know you got some places you want to go with this too, but for me, it's some of the reactions that I've heard that's kind of gotten under my skin.
The final thought on what Adam Silver levied against Donald Sterling is that your point is exactly right. The $2.5 million is dropping the bucket to a billionaire, but it was the maximum allowed.
Yeah.
So, he's putting his foot on Sterling's throat, basically, and he's saying, look, advertisers, number one, because the NBA is about money. Whether he says this is for the players or for the owners or for the fans, it's for the advertisers. It's for the money.
Right.
Look, we're distancing ourselves. We gave the absolute maximum punishment we could. We took his team. We fined him. We did everything we could possibly do. Come on back.
Yeah.
Kia, give us your money. State Farm, give us your money back. That's what this is about.
You're right.
I mean,
100%.
he can make the statement about players all he wants, but I did appreciate the way Adam Silver handled himself yesterday. He was stern. He was short. He was measured. He was direct. Just his statement and then the way he answered questions, just one sentence, concise answers, left no room for. You can tell that he had practiced and prepared for this.
Yeah.
Not only could you tell that he had talked to all the owners, but you could tell that he knows that Donald Sterling's an attorney, and any words that he were to say or was to say right there may come back to bite him at some point if he didn't say exactly what he needed to say and nothing else.
Oh, yeah, absolutely right. And, of course, it came out. It was just a rumor, but some people say that's why Stern didn't want to mess with him over the years, because of his litigating skills, of course, of Donald Sterling. But, Mark, let's get into some issues now. Let's get into some points. Number one, the supposed boycott that was hanging out. That's what was hanging out.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, I mean, because we heard Kevin Johnson came out and said some other people were essentially saying, "Oh, we were ready to mobilize. We had everything. Yeah. We talked to John Wall. We talked to some Chicago Bulls. That game was going to be off. Yeah, we talked to obviously the Clippers and Warriors, and they choreographed how they were going to get out for the tip-off, and when they threw the ball up in the air, they were going to walk off the floor, and all this good stuff right here."
Well, it's easy to say before it happens, huh? Yeah, after it's already taken care of.
And I'm with you. I'm with you in terms of I don't think it was going to go through, but I got to give the players credit for this because whether they were going to do it or not, the threat of them doing it was strong enough. And so they had to convey, okay, we may not really do this, but we got to convey to the league that we might do it to help kind of get this thing pushed along. So they used the threat of it to its maximization, which is to kind of help get things going. And I'm also hearing this, that, yeah, they're happy, but a week from now, they got 1 week to get some things moving, or supposedly this is going to come up again if people drag their feet on getting it done.
We'll see. I've got a couple liars that I want to just call out. Some folks that I just want to call out today. I will get to Joey Crawford here in a little bit, who I think is the worst human being in the history of the NBA. He's an official, and we know his name, so there you go. There's a problem. But Magic Johnson saying he's not looking to buy the Clippers, no, that's a lie. If he says that he wasn't trying to get in. No, I don't buy it at all. I don't buy that at all. So I believe that's an untruth at the very least. And then the Golden State walkout, okay? We're going to wait until the ball is thrown in the air, and then we were just going to walk off. Boy, that sounds impressive, doesn't it? I would be very, very, very interested to know if Adam Silver had that information before he walked to the podium, because I find it very hard to believe that any NBA player, and we were talking with Nick Mason about this the other day, the 5 guys who are going to stand on the court and may had to have walked off, but they were talking about 15 players, every one of them walking off the court. There are some folks there who aren't making multi-million dollars. They can't just afford to not have a job anymore if that's what it came to, which it wouldn't have. But I find it very hard to believe. Matter of fact, I'm just going to call BS that the Golden State Warriors were not going to walk off the court, because the only way that they would even consider doing something of a boycott is if the Los Angeles Clippers had agreed. And I just find it so hard to believe that all that would go together. We're planning to play one another today, and we're sitting here talking it out.
I don't think so, and I think in the end you're right. It wouldn't have happened. I'm looking at it from the commissioner's standpoint, and I don't know if he can take that chance, because I know we could say, well, we'll call their bluff on it. I believe they're bluffing. You believe they're bluffing. The commissioner probably believed, Kevin Johnson said they talked the morning before the announcement. And Kevin Johnson, he's trying to sound all cool and tough now. He's like, I was professional in elocuting that we would not be happy with the verdict that was light. He's trying to flex his little muscles now. And I'm thinking if you're the commissioner, they're bluffing, but the bottom would absolutely be falling out if they did go ahead and sit out. Even though it's a remote possibility, it's just something that hasn't been done before, especially here in the modern era. And I give the players credit for leveraging the threat. Even though it was a threat, commissioner could have called their hand on it and probably could have gotten away with it, but I think the players knew that the commission wasn't going to take that chance, so they're trying to flex and strut a little bit, thinking they got one over.
If Adam Silver knew and heard this is exactly what's going to happen if you don't, then that changes things for me. But I just find it hard to believe.
So you don't think Kevin Johnson told them that morning that
there may be rumors maybe, but if he had heard from Chris Paul and Stephen Curry or whoever it was from both teams saying this is what's going to happen if you don't, then that changes things. But I find that so hard to believe. Another person I want to call out, because I think it's absolute crap what he did, Mark Jackson. It's Game 5. Okay, you played Game 4 on what was it, Saturday? Whatever day it was, at your place in Golden State. This is the day after this stuff comes out, right? NBA hasn't done anything. This is still a black mark over the entire league. And you're talking about, well, what are we going to do? We're talking about planning this for days, how we're going to boycott the game. Well, he comes out and he doesn't say on Saturday when they're in Oakland for Golden State's game, hey,
Right.
why don't the fans, I think every one of you guys should boycott the game. He comes out on Monday night when they're playing at L.A. at
Right.
the other team's gym and says, I believe all the fans should just boycott the game today. Oh, well, isn't that mighty convenient for
That
you,
looked
Mark
bad.
Jackson, who is the coach of the other team?
Yeah.
Hey, please don't come tonight and make a home court advantage for the other team. I think that's absolute crap that he would come
Yeah.
out and say that.
It looked bad, and even if he was sincere, he's got to understand the tone and the situation around it. Obviously, there's no way he, the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, also knowing that his job, it's well known that it's kind of hanging in the balance, for him to come out and say that, I don't care what his intentions really were, it doesn't matter, because it's going to be taken the way you took it and the way America took it. You can't blame people. I mean, it's a self-serving point of view to have, even if you're looking at it from the standpoint of, I'm Mark Jackson, I'm a black man, I feel strongly about this. It's just not going to play well because of the situation. You're the head coach of the team. So, yeah, that did come off a little bit wrong.
Finally, the NBA was playing last night, actual games. The Golden State Warriors came off a Game 4 win against the Los Angeles Clippers that tied the series. And then last night, you had the game in Los Angeles in the Staples Center, packed out crowd, an emotional crowd. And it was pretty much poetic justice that the NBA or that the Los Angeles Clippers won the game. It was a 113-103 score, I believe. The Clippers take a 3-2 lead there in that series. The Chicago Bulls, they scored 69 points in a playoff game, in an elimination game, and got beat by the Washington Wizards. And then also last night, the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Memphis Grizzlies go to their 4th straight overtime game. Memphis wins the game just a little bit tougher when it counts, and had there been a half second more, Serge Ibaka's tip there at the buzzer would have won it for the Thunder.
Yeah. You look at that game. You look at the stars of that game of Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, obviously Zach
Joey
Randolph,
Crawford.
and Joey Crawford, the star of the game. Well, we saw what he did. If you didn't see it, Kevin Durant's he's at the free throw line with a chance to make a second free throw. Huge situation. Joey Crawford sees something wrong with the clock, the foul situation. I don't even know exactly what it was. He runs down, and Durant has the ball in his hands. He's about to shoot. He goes, hey! And then he gets on an official, takes the ball, then goes to the scorer's table. Random delay. Kevin Durant misses the free throw. And, of course, later on, Oklahoma City loses the game. But Mark, for me, and I know you want to get into Joey Crawford. In fact, I'm going to let you do that now because I want to get into the game a little bit. But Joey Crawford, another grandstand opportunity that he took advantage of.
The fact that, like I mentioned, the fact that we know an NBA official's name is a problem. He's, for years, been a guy that's just gotten in the way on purpose, just so you go follow the tweets. I lost 2 followers last night on Twitter because I just went crazy on the guy because he just wants to have his face in front of the world. He knows when he's on. It's like Teddy Valentine, is it TV Teddy? That they call it because he wants to make these big demonstrative calls in front of people on TV games. But if it were, Ryan Russillo said it perfectly, if this were a 10 p.m. game, on the West Coast in November, he's not making that call. He's not doing that. He doesn't care. But since it's in the playoffs, since he can get his face on TV, and since the microphones could pick him up screaming at the scorer's table just like he screamed at another official a couple minutes earlier, he did it. He took his opportunity, and I think he cost the Thunder the game. It's crazy to say, I know, because Kevin Durant still got the free throw, and he still had to make it, but Kevin Durant makes the first free throw. He gets the ball back to shoot his second free throw. If basketball players are anything, especially with free throws, they're creatures of habit, and you go through your routine, you shoot the first free throw, you make it, you get the ball back, you go through your routine, you shoot the second free throw. Kevin Durant is a nearly 90% free throw shooter, and he gets the ball back in his hands to shoot the second free throw, and Joey Crawford waits. Gets the ball from him 32 seconds before he gets the ball back. To me, it's just curious why in the world you do that. Kevin Durant misses the next free throw. Oklahoma City loses in overtime. So it's just, to me, it was a shame.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. Joey Crawford, again, he just likes to grandstand. We know he's had situations with Tim Duncan over the years. There were several instances where
threw Tim Duncan out of the game when Tim Duncan was on the bench.
Yeah. I mean, that's Joey Crawford. I mean, you look at something, you talk about something should be done. I believe so. You cannot have that in the playoffs. You can't have somebody trying to be a superstar when they're an official. It just shouldn't work that way. But, we shift gears to the game now. Memphis takes down Oklahoma City. Memphis has just impressed me. I don't know, but I look at it now, should I just be a little bit more disappointed in Oklahoma City? Not trying to take away from Memphis, but worst. Look, I had Oklahoma City win this series in about 5. Worst case scenario, maybe 6 if Memphis played well. But this is going beyond. Obviously, now for OKC to win, it's got to go 7. And so that just tells me, yes, Memphis is playing well, but Oklahoma City, they just have issues. You can start anywhere. The point guard taking 31 shots. That's always a good place to start when you talk about OKC. And then I got to look at Scott Brooks a little bit too. Because I said it after game 3, maybe after game 4. He's got to figure out a way to make his lineup work for him. He is still letting Memphis dictate the lineup. He's still so afraid of Gasol and Randolph to where he is just shrinking his own floor on offense by having Kendrick Perkins out there with Ibaka.
You said Kendrick Perkins out there. That's just
he's out there,
funny.
and it's clogging the lane. It's hurting the spacing. But he's letting the Grizzlies dictate. He's saying, "Oh, I'm so afraid." You got to be able to come up with something as a coach offensively to make Randolph come out and guard, make Gasol come out and guard, make them uncomfortable on the other end rather than acquiesce to what they're doing with their size. And I just haven't seen that.
All right, we got to hit a break because we've gone a little long here. What we're going to do here in just a minute, we're going to talk a little bit more about the NBA playoffs. The Miami Heat did what we expected them to do. They got a Game 4 win there to sweep the Charlotte Bobcats, who are now on the clock as the
Charlotte Hornets.
Back to the Hornets. We got speaking of the Charlotte Hornets, Larry Johnson, former Charlotte Hornet, had some interesting things to say, and we'll see if Jason can call in or if we can get time to talk about something he brought up in a text message. Also, Brooklyn, Toronto tied 2 games apiece. San Antonio tied it up against Dallas 2 games apiece, and Houston, Portland, it's 3-1 there for Portland, and then the big shocker, Atlanta game 3-2 lead over Indiana, got up 30 the other night. Indiana came back and made it a game, but Atlanta won Game 5, and now they look to close out the Indiana Pacers at home.
The Pacers are just hilarious. That's all I have to say. The Pacers are hilarious.
We'll talk about the Pacers, a little bit more NBA, and then we'll get to the other stuff. Jameis Winston, I don't know if you've heard about it, but man was cited for shoplifting recently. We'll talk about that and much more on the Sports Blitz right after the break.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too. Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
We've got a little bit more NBA talk to get to here in just a minute, but I need to squeeze in some local sports because we hadn't had a whole lot of time with all the stuff we've had going on today. The Arkansas Tech Wonder Boys baseball team, 22 wins in a row. They win the GAC. They're number 3 in the country going in to the Great American Conference Tournament. The Golden Suns tennis team qualified for the NCAA tournament. Junior Whitney Robinson has been the Great American Conference Player of the Week in softball, and also the Golden Suns golf team is going to make the NCAA tournament. So lots of stuff going on at Arkansas Tech as they try to win that all-sports trophy in the Great American Conference. Also, we found out yesterday who pretty much, now there are a couple votes to be sent in, but I'm not sure they're going to change any of the results. It looks like we've got the finalists down for the Brightest Stars Banquet on May 29th, and I could not be more excited about what we're going to have on that night. It's going to be an incredible night. Without giving too much away, I saw that unless things change today, 9 of the 10 schools are going to have a winner. And I'm the only one who knows these winners, so but the coaches have voted, the coaches have spoken, and 9 different winners, 9 different schools with winners, and 18 awards given out by us, 3 by Help Network, and we're just looking at a wonderful, wonderful time.
Well, what it gets me to thinking about, Mark, is we've been telling people to get their tickets now. It's really, really getting time for you to get your tickets now, because what's going to happen is you're going to announce the finalists pretty soon. And once you start having some names being attached to the banquet, there's going to be a rush of tickets. And you may get left out if you continue to procrastinate. So I would suggest you now. We've been saying it all along, Mark, but if you don't have your tickets now, you really need to get on them, because once those finalists are announced, they're going to start flying off the shelf.
They definitely are. You can go to rivervalleyleader.com, top right portion there of the page. You'll see where you can buy those tickets online, PayPal, through your bank account. You can do it online. I know if you've purchased anything online before, you understand that drill. And then we're going to get we're going to get 100 tickets at least printed off in hard copy form. We're going to put those at businesses around the area. I know I'm going to take some to Easy Pawn in Clarksville so that the Johnson County folks from Clarksville and Lamar can get a hold of some tickets. I'm also going to have some in the Russellville area. So we'll be able, and I'm going to try to get some in the Dardanelle area too, because they're very well represented in the nominees and in the finalists as well. So without giving too much away, we've got a lot of folks from all 3 counties that are going to be represented, and I'm looking forward to an incredible event on May 29th. If you haven't found anything about it, if you don't know anything about it, go to rivervalleyleader.com and search Brightest Stars Banquet. You can find out who the nominees were. You can find out about the event, all the good stuff that's going on. And if you're a local business person or a family member of one of these nominees or finalists and you want to help us out to make this banquet happen from year to year, you can just give us a call, 968-NEWS, or email me, mark@rivervalleyleader.com. We'd love to have some more local business sponsors attached to some of those awards so that we can make sure that this event pays for itself. I mean, just be honest with you. We're not doing a telethon here, but we're trying to make sure that this event pays for itself so that we can do this every single year and make this a bigger and better event every single year. So looking forward to that May 29th at Russellville High School. But back to the NBA real quickly. We talked a little bit before the break about the Indiana Pacers. Fought all year for the 1 seed out of the East. They beat out the Miami Heat for the 1 seed in the East, and show them what they've won. They won the I almost said Falcons, the Atlanta Hawks in a dogfight now, down 3-2 after Atlanta just came out and stroked them. Miami gets the Charlotte Bobcats as the 2 seed, and then they go sweep, and they win 4 straight games. So Indiana, man, they are a mess right now.
They are a mess. This is one of the biggest collapses we've ever seen from a team. And I guess what sort of softened the blow is that they weren't playing well the last month or so of the season, but still, they are the top seed in the conference. And I know we've seen 1 seeds go down, a few years ago, Seattle and Denver in the 90s, then, of course, Golden State and Dallas. But I felt like, especially with the Golden State-Dallas series, it was just more about Golden State, they just got hot and they couldn't miss, and their athleticism was just a tough matchup. I don't think Dallas was just playing poorly. Dirk won the MVP that year. They wanted to snatch it from him after that. Then Memphis a few years ago against San Antonio, Ginobili had a busted up elbow, and it just wasn't the same Spurs team. But this has a totally different feel to it. This is an utter collapse. The Hawks they're under 500 for a reason. Yes, they look pretty good. I mean, you look at Jeff Teague, Millsap, you're like, okay, they got some stuff, but they should not be competing with the top seed, even in the weaker Eastern Conference. Still should not be competing. The Pacers have absolutely collapsed. I don't know what to expect in this game. I would favor the Atlanta Hawks at this point, but the Pacers have shown the willingness to fight back. But I just don't know. The Hawks, what concerns me is they can't blow the Hawks out. Even when they've beaten the Hawks, they went on that run and won by double figures in Game 2, but they still haven't dominated the Hawks for any stretch in this series, any stretch of minutes, and therefore I don't expect that in this game coming up. So I think it'll be a close game, and it'll be who can close out a tight one. Hawks have a good chance.
The Hawks are playing, and really when I'm watching, the Atlanta Hawks are not very good. And you can tell, like you said, why they're under 500 team. The problem for the Indiana Pacers is that they can't score. They can't put it in the basket, and it's crazy. And you talk about dictating to a team who they're going to play. The Atlanta Hawks have dictated to the Indiana Pacers, you're not going to play Roy Hibbert.
Big Roy.
And part of the problem is you're going to start him, and then he's going to go 0 for 2 or 3 in the first couple minutes, and then you're just going to yank him. No points and no rebounds from an all-star.
7-2.
That's unbelievable. He's not hurt. No points and no rebounds, no blocks from an all-star. That's unbelievable. So what has to happen? I think I was on the keep Vogel around bandwagon. That's not his fault, but he's lost the team. There's just no getting around it. He's lost the team. Roy Hibbert, sorry, but you got to go bye-bye, and you can't really build around Paul George as a one. You've got to find somebody else, and in Indiana, you're going to have a hard time doing that with the small market money that they want to spend.
Yeah.
Indiana is in a bad way right now.
It is tough, and look, they were an up-and-coming, finally got to the mountaintop as far as top of the conference, and now we're asking questions of how are they going to proceed, not just in this series, but moving forward. Changes will have to be made. I'm with you. I love Frank Vogel as a coach. I think he's really good. You put him somewhere else in another situation, I think he'll flourish as a head coach in this league. But clearly this situation is just combustible. Tim Legler said we're going to hear some things once the playoffs are over about personal issues and why the team hadn't clicked and why they haven't gelled. I think he's right with that. I think we will hear something because there's nothing to explain what's going on with the Pacers.
No, you're going to hear about somebody knocking boots with somebody else.
Yeah.
Somebody else's wife
Tony
or something.
Parker style.
Because there's no other explanation for that other than the fact that the Pacers are averaging 93 points per game right now in the playoffs. you're the 1 seed in the first round. You're scoring 93 points a game. You deserve to lose the series. So I still think Indiana will find a way to get this back to their home floor. And then, all bets are off from there. But, I've said I don't know what my reason for believing that Indiana, they're just a better team than Atlanta. So, but if Atlanta comes out and wins Game 6, at this point, I don't think I'll be surprised. So
let me ask you this: are you ready to go as far to say Heat Wizards Eastern Finals?
Yeah.
You ready?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Easily right now. Yeah. There is no way that Indiana is going to beat the Wizards in the second round with the way they're playing right now. Not a chance. So the Heat. Did you just say the Heat are going down?
No. I was going to say, yeah, thank you.
Grow some personality in your voice here. Come on.
Hey, guys.
Okay.
No. The Heat are going to win NBA Finals. It's going to happen. And I know you love that, and I don't know what you think about that. But listen, for me, it was always, I was scared of the Spurs because they're the Spurs. They don't look like they're going to be able to do anything. They might not even win this series. What's the split? Is it 3-2?
It's 2-2 right now.
2-2? Okay. Yeah, I'm not buying into them at all. I'm not buying into anybody over there in the West for sure. And I thought, well, the Pacers could slow them down. But and I was talking to my dad yesterday about that, and he said, well, they still could if they get out of this series, they could still give them a run. And I was thinking, the only reason they ever gave them a run before is because they had that matchup with Hibbert. And Hibbert is being benched half the time now because he's playing so badly. I think that if the Pacers made it, that series would not be. I think it would be like a 5-game series. I really do. I think the Heat would just take care of business with them the way they're playing right now.
But you know what I hate, Matty, and I see where you're coming from. But you know what I hate, Mark, and I don't know where you stand on this. If somehow the Pacers got past the Hawks and got past the Wizards, I think they'd show up and ball against Miami.
Yeah, they would.
As much as that kind of gets on my nerves, Hibbert would all of a sudden learn how to play again, and they would actually ball. Now, I'm with you. The way they look right now, Matty, they can't even win a game against Miami. But I think if they could navigate their way to the Heat, they would still make them break a sweat.
Well, Bob Barker, in reference to what you said there with your thin little microphone over there, I will say that the Pacers, like I said, they've got too much talent, man. If they just lay down and quit, though, it'll tell you a whole lot about this team and about this franchise. And Larry Bird is going to come off the court or onto the court, take his jersey, get his jersey ready, and he's going to play himself. Because you can just see he's shaking his head, he's head in his hands. He is packed off about the way these Pacers are performing. Final little topic in the NBA, and I would apologize, but these are big topics that are going on in the NBA because I know a lot of folks don't care too much for the NBA. But Larry Johnson made some comments, and Jason Kilburn tweeted us and messaged me a little bit about it, and he wanted to ask the question about, Donald Sterling goes through this stuff from stuff that he said in private, it gets out in the public, and when it gets out into public knowledge, and there's nothing that anybody can do about it. It's not an issue of ethics or right and wrong then because it's in the public, and that's what Adam Silver said when he was asked about it. But at the same time, Larry Johnson came out and he said, I think sort of ignorant in my opinion, and I'll get your thoughts on it here in just a second, that he believes that all the black players should get their own teams, their own league, and he is. For me, when Jason told me this, I thought, well, we'll just ignore him. That was stupid, whatever. Then he said, but he's now an executive with the Knicks. And I was just like, what? I had no idea. Well, now that changes my perspective on this a little bit because he's a representative of the league, of a team. What do you do if you're Adam Silver? Do you just look the other way? Do you say, hey, calm down? I know he was probably what he's going to do is he's going to come out and say, look, it was a tough time, a trying time, and it was an upsetting thing going on. We're gonna look past this, and I've talked to Larry, and everything's gonna be all right. But he's gonna apologize or whatever it is. But I just think that it was an unfortunate thing for Larry Johnson to have said.
Mark Freeman. I had to get my first take on. But before I get to Larry Johnson, because what I have to say kind of ties into it, so it's going to lead into Larry Johnson. But you brought up the whole, somebody said something in private type deal. Now it's public, all this stuff. So I didn't think I was going to get to it, and we don't have much time, but I'm just going to go ahead and get to it now. The segment of people who thought that what happened with Sterling and the punishment against him was wrong because it was something he said in private. I don't agree with him, but he did say it in private, but you know what? Now it's public. And then they'll say, well, what about his freedom of speech? I don't agree with it, but, it is his right to say it. But you know what, though? It's about the league. It's about the money. So when you say something, there are repercussions for it. They're losing money. If you don't buy the morality argument of it, if you still think it's okay, let me talk to you about the money, because I think you'll listen in. When State Farm and a dozen other people pull out, now it's not just a morality issue. You're talking about people's money.
And that changes the discussion as to why they would get rid of him. It's not about what he said. It's about what it cost them.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So that's why that situation was handled. So let's not get the old free speech stuff. The money was being affected.
Exactly.
Now, to Larry Johnson. What Larry Johnson said and what he tweeted out, he should not have. I mean, first and foremost, he should not have tweeted that. I get that it was coming from a place of frustration, and Silver may look at it like that and give him a little bit more of a reprieve. I could tie this to historically, because you still have people who wonder, why do we celebrate Black History Month? Or why is there an NAACP? Why can't there be association for white people? You have people ask those questions, some in a racist nature, but some legitimately want to know, why is that? And it stems historically when you, as a group of people, as Black people, you're excluded over years from certain things. You had to have your own club. You had to have your own facility. You had to have your own this, and so. It's a culture, and it was something you had to do back then. Now it's something celebrated. So that's why, some people say, well, why can Black people get away with saying things like this? But if a white person said, they'd be jumped on. Well, there was a time where Blacks weren't accepted. And I think with Larry Johnson, it was a dumb comment, but you look at, him wanting to start another league or, do his own thing like that. That's him coming out of a period of frustration from being rejected, from being discriminated against. Again, I think it was silly. I'm not even opposed to some form of a reprimand, whether it be a fine or a discussion or something where he's held accountable for it. I'm not against it, but I do get the frustration. I think Adam Silver won't come down the way he did on Sterling.
No, you're right. He won't, and it's just unfortunate, to be honest. That's just all there is to it. It's not the same thing. It's not going to be viewed the same way. It's just there's so many different layers that we could get into with this. The Sterling thing is a career achievement award. He's getting booted for a career where he was a scumbag, and people found out about it, and then they just couldn't really do anything about it. And then I thought it was really cool the way Adam Silver basically answered the questions when people asked him. They said stuff like, Why didn't you do anything about this before? And he's just like, I just got here. 3 months ago. So,
and I know you tweeted this out too. The position of Jamel on ESPN, and how a lot of people felt like, well, he should have did this, or why didn't they do anything before? You can't get rid of anybody without hard evidence. There's a lot of things we know that are kind of unwritten, but we know they go on, but we still have to press forward because we don't have any hard evidence. Yeah, there were filings, there were reports, people said things about Sterling. You knew he had racist tendencies about him, but you couldn't do anything about it. You didn't have any hard evidence. They've got hard evidence right now, and he still can put up a fight and make this thing an ugly mess to get him out of power, and that's with an audio tape. So I'm not one of those that's like, the league turned turned the other way in all these years, and now that they're embarrassed, they finally did something. I don't subscribe to that.
All right, finally, before we get out of here, we've got some hog talk that we'll have to get to in the next couple weeks. And by the way, I don't know if I'm going to be here Friday, but if I had to bet, I'm not going to be here on Friday. The wife may be giving birth within the next 24 to 48 hours. So, little baby Hayden Blake, LeBron James Freeman will be here before you know it. But so we'll figure out something. I'll either have Weldon, a new co-host for the couple days, maybe up to a week, or I'll call in or I'll show up. I don't know what we'll do yet. We'll try to play it by ear, but we'll get to some of this other stuff later on with the Hogs. I found it interesting that Brett Bielema said he was very, very excited and happy with the body of work Brandon Allen put in over the spring, which if you watch the spring game, there's nothing to be very, very anything about unless it's unhappy. So,
yeah.
But before we get out of here, Jameis Winston ticketed for stealing crab legs from a grocery store. What in the world? Dude, you're Jameis Winston. You're the Heisman Trophy winner. You're a national champion. You've got to understand when you walk into the grocery store, all eyes are on you. There's no way you're going to be able to get away with stealing stuff. I just imagine him walking in with a big jacket and sticking some crab legs in his jacket. It's just like, dude, everybody's watching you. You're Jameis Winston. Everybody knows who you are. You're not going to get away with it. I thought that was kind of. It is kind of funny if you ask me, but it's the second little run-in with the, and one of them was a big run-in with the law in the last year or so for him. It's kind of a alarming trend.
It's funny and it's stupid because he had obviously the rape allegations. He's got this. He had another little run-in. Nothing big, but these things add up. You're talking about somebody who's got the talent to be the face of a franchise, viewed upon the way Andrew Luck was looked upon as far as a can't-miss talent, and he is damaging that incident after incident. Doesn't make sense.
Looks like as we get out of here this evening, or this, I guess it's not even afternoon.
Looks like
really.
Even,
it does kind of look nasty outside. Yeah. As we leave you today, I'm excited to announce here, looking at BleacherReport.com, that Dan Patrick is going to host a new Sports Jeopardy show. I don't know if you're like me. When you watch Jeopardy and you see that sports, you're like, I got this one.
Yeah.
I may not know anything about the Kings of England, but I got this sports category locked down. So that's going to be interesting. We'll see if that comes to be.
And when we do later shows, I do want to get to this Brandon Allen, Brett Bielema perception, because that's kind of gaining momentum now as far as how people feel.
Well, he must be tying his wagon to Brandon Allen, and if things don't improve this year from last year and next year from this year, Brett Bielema is going to be in a tough spot. So we'll see how the fall sort of backs up or refutes his spring decision to stick with Brandon Allen and not get one of these other guys in there. So, all right, we got to get out of here. For Weldon and Maddie, who is efforting furiously over here for stuff, I'm Mark saying so long. We'll hope to hear from you or see you. I guess I won't see you, but you'll see me on Friday or Weldon. Maybe even hear from me on the phone. Who knows? But that's all the time we've got for today. We'll see you again on Friday, 11 o'clock.